Hello everyone, my name is Sumaya and this is my partners Fatima and May. And today we're going to present to you the research article named Pit and Fissure Sealants for Preventing Dental Decay in Permanent Teeth. This article has been found on the National Center for Biotechnology Information. And Fatima will start with the introduction.
I'm going to start with introduction. Dental sealants were introduced in the 1960s as a preventive care for dental caries. The article's main objective is to observe the different types of sealants applied on a occlusal surface of permanent teeth with deep pits and fissures to look at how effective sealants are in caries prevention. Dental sealants can be used on a occlusal surface to reduce bacterial growth that can lead to caries. Therefore, the study compared different types of sealants, such as glass ionomer sealants with no sealants applied, and also other types of sealants to each other to compare the effectiveness of sealant in caries prevention. The study was done on premolar and molar of permanent teeth in children and adolescents up to 20 years old. However, sealant effectiveness may also be related to caries incidence level of the population. This article is an update of a review published in 2004, 2008, and 2013. Moving to the next slide, selective criteria. A randomized controlled trial study was used to collect data by looking at the different types of sealant material for preventing caries on the occlusal surface of premolar and molar in children and adolescents aged up to 20 years old. 38 studies were evaluated with a total of 7,924 children. 7 of the trials were new, and 15 experiments compared the effect of a resin-based sealant to no sealant. 3 trials compared a glass ionomer sealant to no sealant, and 24 trials compared one sealant to another. This study required at least 12 months follow-up. And however, they excluded any studies that compared compomers to resins or any type of restorations, such as composites.
Now let's talk more about the data collection and the analysis that has been done in the paper. So in this research article, they have assessed the risk of bias of the included studies by having 2 review authors working independently on the results data. And the measurement of the treatment outcomes was done through the calculation of odds ratio, risk ratio, and the mean differences of caries incidence in sealant treatment versus no sealants. The confidence interval that has been used in this study, it was a 95% confidence interval to reject or accept the null hypothesis. For the results that has been obtained over 3 or more follow-up periods, meta-analysis has been used, which includes the different factors that affect the results in terms of the incidence of caries, such as the behavior of children. The quality of evidence in these conducted studies has been also measured to look at how effective the evidence was, and they use GRADE method. GRADE stands for Recommendation, Assessment, Development, and Evaluation, which includes high, moderate, low, and very low quality. Now let's look at the results table. For the results, we see that in this first table, we're gonna talk about the study that has conducted resin-based sealant versus no sealant. In this study, they have chosen 1,548 children, and they were chosen randomly. Their age was between 5 to 10 years old, and the follow-up period was only 24 months. The results state that if a 16% of a control tooth surface has decay, then applying sealant will reduce the incidence of caries to 5.2%. Now let's look at the second row in the table. If we change the percentage of having incidence of caries to be 40% on the first molars, then applying sealant will reduce it to 6.3%. And lastly, on the last row, if you guys see that the percentage, if it changed to be 70%, then applying sealant would reduce it to 18.9%. As you guys see where it says the odd ratio there, you see that the odd ratio is 0.12, which means the risk is 12% of having incidence of caries when applying resin-based sealant, giving that confidence interval that was used 95%. And we also see that the evaluation grade was moderate, which means we had enough evidence that the resin-based sealant was effective in those children to use as a sealant. Let's move on now to the second table of results, and May will explain that further.
So as for the glass ionomer versus no sealant, the table on the right shows that the ionomer was used to be tested over 3 studies. 2 studies evaluated 426 children and found glass ionomer to be effective, but at a very low grade of evidence, as you can see on the top right of the table. The third study evaluated 404 children and has shown no difference in applying glass ionomer sealants to no sealants. Therefore, further studies are definitely needed to show the effectiveness of using glass ionomer sealant. The article also shows that comparing one type of sealant against another type of sealant has shown a low grade of evidence over 24 trials, which means there was no difference in decay incidence when using one type over another type of sealant. So further studies are also needed to show which type is considered to be more effective than another. So in conclusion, the results of the article confirm that in children and adolescents, resin-based sealants placed to the occlusal surfaces of permanent molars are in fact successfully at preventing caries. When it was compared to no sealants, resin-based sealants reduced caries by 11 to 51% over a 24-month period, according to moderate quality data, which means that the researchers are reasonably certain about this finding, but future research may change that. A similar effect was identified at time points up to 48 months, and sealants were effective at a follow-up longer than 4 years. But the quantity and quality of evidence decreased with extended follow-up. Although there was inadequate information on the adverse effects, none were documented, and more study with a lengthy follow-up period is required. So these are the references we utilized in our presentation. Thank you guys for listening.